Love Finance is the other F word and want to support the show? Become a patron by going to patreon.com/FTOFW. You'll get special features, a shout out on the air, and early releases. Or if you prefer, pick up some merchandise at financeistheotherfword.com.
As fantastic a CFP as Mel O is, as wonderful an attorney as I am, and as good as Stormy is at whatever it is he does, please do note that anything said in our podcasts are our opinions alone and are not meant to be taken as financial or legal advice.
Welcome to Finances, the Other F Word, a Gen Xer podcast for musicians and music lovers, where we discuss money and music without all the pretentious bullshit. Here are your hosts, Zoe Terry, attorney at large, Stormy Andrews, founder of Yokel Local Marketing, and Mel O, certified financial planner and author of Finances, the Other F Word. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey guys, welcome to Finance is the Other F Word. And right now, actually, we're doing something super cool. I don't know if you can tell by any of the background noise, but we are actually at ZIA Records. So if you live in the Las Vegas area or if you live in Arizona, then you would be familiar with ZIA Records. Think of like, did you guys have Tower Records in Britain?
Yeah, we did. Well, I don't know if we had Tower, but we had HMV, which was very big, and we had other big chain record stores.
Were they kind of like, they probably didn't have as much merchandise, though, because I don't remember Tower Records as having as much merchandise.
Not as cool as this, for sure.
Yeah, and we got some gems that we're going to share with you, because so basically today we are talking about the X generation, which is really our favorite topic next to music and money, is us.
And us.
Yes, because we are Gen X, and the reason why we're having it at ZIA Records, besides the fact that we just wanted to get the hell out of the studio for once, which is really nice, but more importantly, if you come to ZIA Records, it's kind of like this weird mecca for Gen X, which is super kind of cool. You've heard me talk on this podcast tons of times before that the X generation is completely forgotten about, and Stormy, even though he's not here with us today, Zoe and I, we are all part of Generation X. So if you did not know by the introduction of the podcast, we are talking it from a Gen Xer perspective. And so today we're just going to kind of talk about all of the different things that Gen X added to the economy and just talk about how great we are, really.
Yeah. Easily done. Easily done
all the time. So the Gen X generation is usually anywhere from, if you were born between 1961 and 1981 or 1965 and 1984, the goalpost seems to move. But more predominantly, what it is, it's classified as is 1964 to 1980. So if any of our listeners out there are born between 1964 and 1980, technically you are considered a Gen Xer. There is 82 million of us, even though obviously we don't exist because nobody ever talks to us financially or otherwise, which we'll get into that. And we still watch TV, and we use a lot of Facebook, and we had a whole bunch of different triggering events why we came up, which we'll talk about a little bit. On the depressing financial side, we carry the highest debt load, and unfortunately we're still raising children and trying to plan for retirement all at the same time.
I can attest to that.
Yeah. So yay, go Gen X. But first, we'll start off with Zoe has a couple facts for us to kind of kick off the economic impact of the Xers and on the Xers.
Well, people from the Gen X, what you call it? Gen X pool?
Generation.
Yep. Currently make 31% of the total U.S. income, even though they only comprise 25% of the population. So that's interesting.
So that would sound like we would be making most of the money, but
I'm not.
But well, so that's the thing that's very interesting, right? Because the thing is that if 31% of us are making that much money, or 31% are making that much of the income, but we're only 25% of the population, that just doesn't seem like we're still really on the higher ending pay just with those statistics. So anyway,
right. Gen Xers are economically active. We found 55% of today's startups. So we're entrepreneurial.
Which makes total bunch of sense because all three of the hosts on the show all own their own businesses. So that's
Yeah.
so that's batting 1,000 right there. Can you bat 1,000? I don't even know.
I have no idea what you mean. Is that a sporting reference?
It is.
Well,
it is a reference to
count me out.
A reference to sport. It's a baseball reference. I don't know if it's batting 1,000 or batting 500 or 600. I don't know. I don't watch baseball. So
either way, you lost me there.
Yeah, we're batting something cool.
Well, probably not surprising. We may make 31% of the U.S. income, but we outspend all the other generations when it comes to housing, clothing, eating out, and entertainment, according to the U.S. Department of Labor.
Well, so, okay, to be fair, though, we're still, I mean, our age range right now is 40 to 54. So if you're a late Xer, you're 40. If you're, on the first wave of Xers, you're 54. So you're still working. You're still raising kids. So, of course, you're going to consume more of the economy, right? So, I mean, that doesn't make it sound too bad.
Right.
I wonder if we have stats on alcohol, how much alcohol consumption I would bet we'd win.
Yes.
I would bet we would win out of all generations.
Hands down.
Easily.
Members of Gen X make a middle-class income with an average of $50,400. By comparison, millennials only make $34,430 on average.
And that sucks for the millennials because of the simple fact that they're way more educated. They're like the most educated generation.
Yeah, and we're coming to that, yeah. Gen X, we are discerning, well-educated generation. 35% of Gen Xers in the U.S. have college degrees compared to 19% of millennials. So we tend to hold more powerful positions in organizations and apparently make good mentors to the younger generations.
Do we?
If we can be bothered.
I mean,
bothered.
We are cynical still. So, yeah, I mean, I there's a lot of people who said a lot of nice things about me. I don't know if they've ever said, hey, you would be a great mentor. I don't know if they ever said that.
And yeah.
I could be wrong.
Yeah. I'm not sure that would be the first thing that sprang to my mind. Hey, would you like to mentor one of my children?
I'd learn them good. Well, but you're already an Xer, so you're already warping them enough. They don't need Auntie Mel coming in making it worse.
No, poor things.
Yep.
And we are known as a self-deprecating generation. I would totally agree with that.
Absolutely.
Only 41% of us actually even identify with the label Generation X, compared to 61% of millennials who think themselves as special. Millennials. Members of Gen X don't tend to even believe in their own uniqueness or even... I mean, I had to ask Mel. This is kind of sad, I guess.
It's extremely sad.
As we walked in, I had to say, what Gen Xers again? I mean, I just get confused with...
And my response was, you.
Yeah. Oh, okay, right.
Right. Just like, right.
I just get confused with what...
Pushing your hair behind her ears, like Wayne and Garth, right.
Right. Scraping my hair back into an ugly bun. Oh, right, that's me then, yes. Okay. But yeah, that's... I mean, I know what a millennial is, but I get confused between all the other boomers and Xers and...
it's a hot mess, all the different generations, and they all have different skills. It's kind of almost like reading a horoscope, because when I was reading and doing all the research for the Gen Xers, I was like, yeah, that sounds like me. Yep, that sounds like people I know. But I guess it could be like a horoscope where your day will be full of, I don't know, some bullshit.
Shit.
Yep, absolutely.
What star sign are you?
I am a Cancer.
Oh, I don't even know anything about star signs, so I don't know why I said that.
Well, thank you for asking then.
But, yeah.
And what is your star sign?
I'm an Aquarian.
Aquarius?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that the Archer?
No, it's the water sign. No, yeah, it's a water sign.
Is it an Archer?
No. I don't know.
Oh, my God. Dude, next time we do this, she's going to have to take a nap and have a drink, because she is not even on it right now. Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm an Aquarian anyway. So Gen X, now this is true. Gen Xers love their social media. 81% of them have Facebook accounts, which they use more for keeping up with news and their kids than for self-promotion. Well, actually... I don't do either of those things on mine, but I am an avid booker of the face.
Well, I mean, you don't really have to keep up with your kids, I guess. Well, I guess if you're stalking their profile.
Yeah, my kids aren't into the Facebook. They're more into Snapchat and Instagram than they are Facebook. If I'm on it, they're not going to be on it.
And I think it's because we didn't have computers. So, like, really, we had to hang out with friends and talk to friends and go to the mall, of course.
Talk to them on the phone.
Right. I mean, but that's like more Facebook. You have to, be friends with people versus like an Instagram where it's like whoever wants to fucking follow you, they can just follow you and you're stuck. With some crazy, some of y'all are crazy. Some of your followers is just, you guys are a little uncomfortable. I gotta be honest.
Although I had somebody follow me, message me through LinkedIn the other day in a weird romantic type way. Ew. It was very weird, but he got my name wrong. I'm like, dude, you just followed me on LinkedIn telling me that I was hot, but you got my name wrong.
Your name is literally 3 letters, so I'm not really sure.
Yeah, and he called me like Claudia or something completely wrong and then professed his love for me. I'm like, well.
Because this mother was copy and pasting that
shit. It was copy and pasting. There was a space, so you could tell it was insert name here.
He's just making that his own match. That's just, he's doing that.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. So members of Gen X spend about 7 hours a week on social media, according to a 2017 Nielsen study. In comparison, millennials spend just over 6 hours a week on social media.
I don't know. It sounds weird. I think my millennial friends spend way much more time on social media.
And I think I probably spend more than 7 hours a week on social media, personally.
Yeah. Well, to mean, obviously we're out of the...
I mean, I let people know when not so much recently, but I let people know when I'm taking a shit. Just in case they're worried. Just so as they know, I'm still regular. Yeah,
and by the way, every time I go into the bathroom and I see your little sign that says, have a nice poop, then I think of you. So, just so you know, your sign in my bathroom is reminding me of you every day.
Good. That's how I want you to remember me, by the way.
Well, it's relaxing. Taking a poo is very relaxing. It makes me relaxed. I think of you when I'm relaxed. Not a bad thing.
You're not one of these people that reads while they're taking a poo.
I usually do.
That's such a man thing to do, though.
Dude, I
get in there, I poo, and I'm out.
Oh, no. I tell people, when you get my book, read it on the toilet. Set it next to the toilet. It's an easy read. You're relaxed. You're pooing. It's great. Like, seriously, I will never be offended if somebody's like, hey, I put your book by my toilet, and I read it while I pooed. I'd be like, sweet, I'm glad you read it. Did you learn anything?
Right. I usually have, I'm usually in and out fairly quickly with my poo because I usually have at least either one cat or one child in there with me or talking to me or shouting at me or meowing at me. So it's, there's no time to sit and sit and read. It's, But anyway.
And of course you worked cats into the conversation yet again.
Oh,
so
really? Did I?
That makes like 42 episodes out of 42 episodes where she's successfully done that. All right.
I don't know. It's a skill.
Yeah.
Oh, and Gen X has spent about 32 hours a week consuming all media.
All media. So I'm assuming that would mean like television too?
Yeah. That doesn't sound much.
I don't know. It's almost a full work week.
Right.
I don't watch television that much.
Oh, I do. If I can. I mean, I fall asleep dribbling to TV. That's how I fall asleep.
Oh my gosh. I watch Netflix like maybe 2 hours every 5 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but then I don't know any of the movies that are coming out and people are like, hey, have you seen that one commercial? I'm like, sure haven't. Don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe you're a millennial in disguise.
No, I'm really proud to be a Gen Xer. Love my millennials out there, but no thank you.
Okay, how about this is, one of the things you talk about is marketing to Gen X. 54% of Gen Xers are frustrated that brands constantly ignore them.
Hey, so that does not sound way far off the mark at all. And I've mentioned on the podcast multiple times, if you read any financial article, they talk about boomers and they talk about millennials. And there's, 82 million of us, and we don't fucking exist in the middle of the generations. It's like we're just non-existent, which I think is a bunch of crap.
What are boomers again?
Boomers are
the ones before us.
The boomers are the ones before us, and they are 76 million. But to be fair, the first wave of boomers that were born are now starting to die off. So there's the Great Generation, which was like the World War I, and they're the oldest of our population. They're dying off. Then we have the baby boomers, because when the Great Generation came back, they had a whole bunch of kids, which is the baby boomers, and then the Xers, and then the millennials, and now Generation Z as yet to be decided on what they are or who they do or whatever.
So my kids are Zs, right?
I think your kids are Zs, yeah.
Right. All right, good to know.
Yep.
27% of Canadian Gen Xers don't feel like advertising aimed at them actually reflects their experience, which means that they don't feel like they can connect to brands or products easily.
I wonder why it was so important to specifically call out the Canadians.
I don't know.
That's such a weird statistic. It's like Canadians in specific do not feel that they're being marketed to. All right.
And if you want to market to Gen Xers, you should not forget traditional media. And I think this is very true. 48% still listen to the radio. I don't know about you, but I know we both are big NPR fans, and I listen to the radio every day still. 62% still read newspapers, and 85% watch traditional TV.
Yeah, so I haven't read a newspaper in about 1,000 years. I haven't listened to the radio in, actually, no, because for those of y'all who follow our social media, I love Christmas music. And I know, and 106.5 has been doing their Christmas. Already? Yes, they started a week ago, and so I am sitting there and I am already listening to the radio so that I can hear my Christmas music, even though I actually have an online streaming service with no commercials, where I can listen to the same music, but I feel more connected.
Even the day before Christmas, I just don't want to be listening to Christmas music particularly, especially not 6 weeks before Christmas. I'm sorry, honey. No.
I started in August.
She started in August. Oh my goodness. Okay. But so
okay, so
it's true.
Yeah, I'm listening
Gen X
to it.
So you are still listening to radio.
I
Maybe
am.
we're not reading newspapers, but I am online. The first thing I do most mornings is read BBC America's online newspaper, so that counts. I don't read it in black and white print, but
right.
So yeah, and I watch my TV. So yeah,
so I think you're more of an Xer than me, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. And I'm that tiny little bit older than you too.
Yeah, barely. Doesn't really count.
I look about 150 years older than her.
That's just today. Yeah, that's just today. She looks, when she came in, I was like, oh, rough day.
Yeah.
No
how
effort.
Could you tell?
No effort putting to looking, especially when we're going to be in a location where people could actually see us versus the studio unless you're on the visual. Yeah, and I'm like, didn't even try to spruce up. That's okay. Yeah, no worries.
Not at all. Not at all. So I think the takeaway from that is ignore Gen X is at your peril, right?
Absolutely.
Even though we're small in numbers, we have the biggest disposable income. We're in positions of power, and we have a strong influence on corporate purchases. And people in marketing and other areas should get to know them, their needs and their expectations. And don't forget the Gen Xers.
Absolutely. And there is actually an interesting statistic I have here about Gen X when we start talking about the economic impact that the Generation X has had. And it actually says that Gen Xers spend the most on non-essentials, including, which I just thought this was hilarious, so about $3,473 annually in restaurant food, prepared beverages, which I'm like, is that Starbucks or liquor? Because when I'm like, as soon as I read that, I was like, oh, that must be liquor.
Oh, I don't know. Prepared beverages?
Prepared beverages, and that's why I'm thinking.
They need to make that clear.
Yeah, and lottery tickets, because we're classy. So we spend the most out of any generation, and then it says millennials only spend $2,758 on that. But if you take that prior statistic where it says that the average Gen Xer makes $50,000 something plus, and the average millennial makes $34,000, then that's probably the reason for the discretionary. I don't think it's the fact that Gen Xers are some frivolous spenders. But regardless, we are here. And like I said, sitting at ZIA Records right now, we are surrounded by like the temple of Gen Xer stuff. Like most of the cool stuff in here is all Gen Xer related, and so we thought that it would be a really cool topic to sit and talk about. And so when I was doing a little bit of research, I found out a couple interesting things. In France, we have listeners in France. What's up?
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Yeah, I can never remember. And I always do bonjour. Like it's always so, hi, bonjour. My name is Alice. You want to have a drink? That's what I feel like. But Gen Xers are called Generation Bouffe.
Huh?
B-O-F, I'm assuming it's boof, because their tendency to use the word boof, which translated in English means whatever, which actually sounds
better in French.
Sounds, yeah. Maybe if I'm even pronouncing it right, I don't know. Maybe it's boff.
I don't know, but I'm going to start saying that to my kids, and they won't know what I mean. I'm just going to say boff.
Yeah, or boof.
Or boof.
You mix it up, so you're constantly keeping them guessing. And then in Russia, Generation X was referred to the Generation Xers as the last Soviet children because they were the last ones to grow up under communism before communism fell. And so I thought that was very interesting. And then in the UK, I don't know if this is actually true or not, but I came across that the Gen Xers, meaning you, Zoe, you guys were referred to as the Thatcher's children.
Yeah. Well,
have you heard that before?
Yeah, because Thatcher was in power,
right,
during
most of your life, right?
Of my childhood, yeah.
But that sounds kind of weird, like your Thatcher's. That sounds almost horror filmish, like.
Well, it was. So yeah.
I thought she was good, Margaret Thatcher.
No.
Oh no! Why was she not good?
Oh, because she was. She was an awful lady, and. Yes, depending on your politics, obviously. So, no.
That's what it came down to. Well, and then when you were probably over there, you really weren't in a position where you were old enough to even vote anyway.
Well, I was just about to turn 30 when I moved over here, so I could have voted a little bit.
When did, what's the age of voting over there?
18.
18, okay, same as here. So I wanted to just read this is literally directly from Wikipedia, and I just thought it was a good kind of roundup of the Generation Xer, and then we're going to talk a little bit about how we've contributed to the economy, and then we're going to talk about some really cool shit that we're seeing around here. So Generation Xers were children during a time of shifting societal value, as children were sometimes called the latchkey generation. Did you guys have that in England?
I've heard of that expression, yeah.
Yeah, do you guys know what that is? Did you?
Is that when we were, our parents were at work and we looked after ourselves?
Yep, yeah, you came home, and can you imagine, you have kids now, can you imagine your kids just coming home, you don't know that they're home, they open up the door, then they sit there for 4 or 5 hours until you get home and you're not.
I can't imagine, they can barely make their own food, so no.
Yeah, and because I was considered a latchkey kid as well, and so anyway, it says we were called the latchkey generation, and due to the reduced adult supervision as children compared to previous generations, a result of increasing divorce rates and increased maternal participation in the workforce. So we have a statistic here that in the 1974, the people of the same age group during the Generation X generation, the males actually made 12% less than their fathers did, but the annual household income raised because women entered the workforce. So we had the increase in divorce rates, and we had more availability of childcare options, obviously, because the women were actually in the workforce. And it says as adolescents and young adults, they were dubbed the MTV generation, which that was when MTV actually played videos and not this shit that they have on now.
Reality TV.
Is it all still reality TV?
I don't watch MTV anymore because I imagine it probably still is.
Yeah, and the Video Music Awards has just went completely downhill because if you have a station called MTV Music Television and you don't play music, and then you have an award show that says MTV Music Video Awards, how the hell are you supposed to know any of those people? It's the fall of MTV is really disheartening as an Xer because we got to see it when it was literally 24 hours a day of videos, and it was great. And the coolest thing is that we are responsible. We are actually considered to be slackers and cynical and disaffected, which I'm not really sure what disaffected means.
I'll take the cynical, but I won't take the other two.
Yeah, I don't even know what disaffected means. I know that makes me sound really horrible, but I honestly, for real, I don't know what that means, but apparently that's us. And then the cultural influences on Gen X were the music genres of grunge and hip-hop music and independent films that came up under our watch, and supposedly we are concerned with work-life balance, and we are credited with entrepreneurial tendencies, again, which makes a lot of sense considering that your three hosts all have companies of their own. And of course, there's a couple big things that actually shaped our generation. First of all, we had the AIDS epidemic, which was a huge deal. Do you remember when the AIDS epidemic happened? I remember watching the news because my grandparents were just affixed to the news because they were thinking it's the next plague. And they didn't know if AIDS was airborne or what. And they were trying to figure it out. And there's just massive panic.
I don't remember that. I mean, I do remember being terrified. I remember first being terrified of nuclear war. And then as I got older, being terrified of the AIDS.
Yeah, and then there was a movie called The Day After.
Oh yes.
Did you guys have to watch that?
The cartoony one about?
It was after. No, it was like the Day After was it wasn't a cartoon. It was about literally what it would be like the day after a nuclear war.
Yeah. I thought that was I'm thinking of a different one, but yeah, I'm pretty sure we watch that. Yeah.
Why would you wheel that into a fucking classroom of people and be like, hey, little kids, this is what's going to happen when the Russians drop the bomb on us and we can't. I mean, it freaking scarred me. It scarred me for life. Like I literally blocked it out, but I'm sure it's somewhere out on YouTube or something where you could find it. But yeah, we had the Cold War going on. A threat of nuclear war. We had the fall of the Berlin Wall, which we're going to be doing an episode on the Berlin Wall 30 years after and just all the different changes and how that affected Germany and their economy and the United States economy, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, we had the crack epidemic. So I don't think London probably didn't get hit with the crack epidemic, did they?
I imagine they did. I don't remember it personally because crack's whack.
That's right. Yeah, listen to Whitney, who died of an overdose. But
did you watch that interview with Robin last night?
No. Oh. Were they lovers?
Yes.
Okay.
Briefly, for a brief time, but then they just became friends again. Yeah.
Wow, that sounds like a very girl thing to do. Just both decide that they're tired of each other and then just like, let's just go back to being friends.
It was more Witters because she wanted to concentrate on her music career and she knew that they'd be ripped apart. So, but yeah.
Let me guess, and they both really loved each other, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's usually how it is, right? You can't have like any relationship that went wrong and then not be able to say, but we really loved each other, to try to, I don't know, make it whatever. So we had the introduction with the whole AIDS epidemic of sex education into the schools. And then, of course, we all started to get home computers, which helped us along our sexual education even faster for some of us.
Some more than others.
For some more than others, I'm just saying. And so we have started, as Zoe had talked about before, Gen Xers, we have founded a lot of technology startups and small businesses. And so for a generation that we were referred to as being cynical and being disenfranchised, it's kind of interesting that we would actually be one of the biggest tech startups. And we are also responsible, the Generation X, for Google, Wikipedia, Amazon, and YouTube.
Wow.
Yes, and by extension, YouPorn. Because, I mean, if you...
Never even heard of that.
Okay, well, it's like YouTube, but it's for porn.
Oh.
So, yeah. And so this is a very interesting thing, and I'm just going to read this direct quote because it made me laugh so bad, and I don't mean to be disparaging to any of the other generations, but we are talking about how great Xers are, so I'm just going to read it. It says, in the 2008 book, X Saves the World, How Generation X Got the Shaft, but can still keep everything from sucking, author Jeff Gordner describes Generation X as a dark horse demographic that doesn't seek the limelight. Gordner cited examples of Gen Xer contributions to society, such as Google, Wikipedia, Amazon, and YouTube, arguing if boomers had created them, we'd never hear the end of it. And so Gordner contrasts Gen Xers to baby boomers, saying boomers tend to trumpet their accomplishments more than Gen Xers do, creating what he describes as elaborate mythologies around their achievements. Gordner cites Steve Jobs as an example why Gen Xers, he argues, are more likely to just quietly do their thing. And the reason why I read that is, first of all, it made me laugh. So that's the real reason why I read it. But then also, I think that's actually pretty true because I know that, like you and I do a lot of all the social media for the show. But even I find that it's hard to be like, hey, check out our podcast or tell your friends to check out our podcast or whatever. And it's just, I don't know why, because I mean, it seems that the millennial generation can, be like, hey, I'm eating this burger, share this with 1,000 friends. And I just wonder what that is in the Generation X that makes branding and marketing so much harder.
I don't know. Just maybe the way we were brought up, not to make a fuss, just get on with it.
Yeah, I think
maybe it was because we were the first latchkey kids, we just got on with it.
Yeah, and
whereas now it's all, everyone's a winner. You're so great.
And everybody has feelings, which is really annoying.
Luckily you don't.
Which is really,
good.
yeah. I mean, I walk that shit off. but no, seriously, like everybody has feelings. And so if they're, they're feeling down or they're feeling something, they're immediately on millennial or on the millennials or generation is on social media talking to people about it. And I was always like, nobody cares. And even my friends on Facebook who are, most of them are in my age group, they're all Gen Xers. Even when they post these, sad bitch ass memes about, real friends, something loyal, something. I'm like, dude, save it. Nobody wants to, good God. I mean, keep your personal stuff personal. Like, walk it off. But again, maybe that's more of a me thing than a tendency of Gen Xers. I just don't want to throw that on Gen X, but... No,
I'm not for that either, especially if you're going to be cryptic about it.
Oh, yeah. I mean...
Just tell me what your issue is, and
right,
I'll help. But if you're going to be all like, but I'm not going to tell you, right? You're just going to post a really sad face and leave it at that,
and then have people comment on it and be like, "What's wrong? Do you need a drink?" I'm just like, dude. And if you're any of my friends on Facebook, I'm like, hey, I had a shitty day. I need a drink. Who wants to go to the bar? It's very plain and simple. It's very easy to figure out where Mel stands at any given time. So go Gen Xers. And so as far as our workforce participation and income, we've already talked about on the fact that, the Gen Xers we are the first generation, and I've mentioned this on multiple podcasts before, that we are the first generation that will actually live worse than our baby boomer parents. So every single generation has been doing better as far as they've been, acquiring homes, or they've been acquiring promotions, or being able to pay their bills easier. But Generation X, the millennials behind us, and I don't know, hopefully Gen Z will not follow the same fate. But we are actually the first generation that's actually going to live worse than our parents, which is really, really crappy. And part of the reason for that is, and we talked about this on 2008, about how the boomers, a lot of them still had pensions that were intact. So when 2008 hit, they were able to still kind of make it through. And the millennials, a lot of them just continued to stay in college so that they wouldn't have to worry about going out into a job market that, quite frankly, didn't want them. Well, the Gen Xers were right in the middle. So when the 2008 crisis hit, we all owned homes. We all had debt. We all had, kids we were raising. Not me, but I don't know. I always have to, just in case anybody thinks.
Yeah, just in case you think that she's been hiding a kid the whole time under a bed. Well, she's not.
And this is what's so awful is that the other day I was at the grocery store with Michelle, and she had our little boy Daniel, who's 2 years old, and we're going through the thing, and she has to go look. Or no, she's in the bathroom. So we're in this shopping cart that looks like a race car.
Oh, yeah.
Which he loved. And so I'm just kind of walking him around the store, whatever, and just trying to keep him entertained until Michelle came back. And this lady walked by, and she looked at me, and she smiled, and she looked at Daniel, and she's like, he's so cute. And I wanted to scream, he's not mine. I wanted to scream at her so loud. And then when I realized that, I was like, wow. I was like, I don't know if that's the normal response you're supposed to have. Yet, there you are. That's what it was. And so, anyway, the Gen Xer generation was right in the middle of 2008, and where the boomers have most of their money in checking accounts and in retirement funds, the Xers, their primary asset was, and continues to be their home. And so the thing is that what happened in 2008, when it actually, the real estate market collapsed, it wiped out a whole bunch of Gen Xers' primary net worth because of the simple fact that most of their money is not liquid. And now you have the millennial generation coming up, where a lot of them don't even want to own homes and have the hassle of it, or they want to have more of a free lifestyle. So it'll be interesting as the millennial generation comes through and Gen Z starts coming up behind them, what's going to happen if people do decide that owning a home is not really worth it, nor is it the American dream anymore. It would be interesting to know how the tax code starts changing, because a lot of the tax code is to help modify your behavior. So if you have a single person like me who doesn't have any kids and is not married, then you have somebody that is married that has kids, like Zoe. Her overall tax bracket, her effective tax rate is going to be lower than mine, because she has more write-offs and because she's married. And so the threshold is a lot lower. And that is one of the ways that having the IRS, that they can help control. So if they start getting in a situation where they see that a lot of millennials or Gen Zs decide that they're not going to actually own homes and they're going to rent, then the easiest way for them to rectify that is change the tax code, and then it would encourage people to actually buy homes. And it was started in, I think, ancient Rome, where they wanted people, or maybe Greece, they wanted people to get married and settle down and not be heathens. And so they built in the first tax code of, tax breaks if you were married, and we've just continued it ever since. It's like that whole crap where, I don't know if you remember, like when we were in high school, it used to be like if there was a formal dance, it would be like $30 for a couple, $18 for a single, which I just always thought that's just complete crap. So you're literally punishing somebody for coming by themselves. It's ridiculous. And we still continue to do that as we, just with different pricing structures. And obviously, as somebody with no kids and not married, it kind of pisses me off, if you can't tell. And lastly, one of the other things that we have went through is that we were the first generation who had an average of 5 different careers in our lifespan, where you had the boomers, they went somewhere, they stayed at the job forever, but you also had the ability to, in most cases, raise a family and buy a house on one income. So you could do that, and you had built-in retirement pensions that were actually in the situation for the boomers, but then because of mandatory funding rates on pensions and things like that, then we see that when the Gen Xers got to the workforce, there was no pensions. And so we just started jumping careers as we were trying to still chase the American dream and live better than the boomers, which didn't ever seem to pan out. And then the most kind of the defining thing that the Gen Xers are experiencing is that the boomers are working longer. Some of them by choice, some of them not by choice, but they're an industrious group and they don't want to retire and they don't want to be bored. My grandparents retired. They're part of the great generation, and that was it, man. They retired. They stayed retired. Papa worked around the house and Mommy watched soap operas, and so did Papa. They both watched soap operas. But baby boomers, they're healthy, they're walking, so they're continuing to work in the workforce. And so what you have now is where you had a structure on the population scale where the great generation went to work, retired, and got out of the workforce, so the baby boomers could come up and go into the job market. Now you have boomers still in the job market, you have millennials coming up behind us, and then you have the Xers still trying to carve out a job market in between all of this. And so for the first time, we have an emergence of all of these different populations trying to be in the workforce. And unfortunately, the Gen X generation, we're the sandwich between both of them. So we're still trying to take care of our aging parents, and then if we have kids, and then we're competing against younger people, we're competing against older people, and it's just kind of a hodgepodge of different things that are going on within the workforce right now. And we talked about I think that sums up nicely probably the reason why we spend so much money on non-essentials, because we're just like, shit. Which I know might make me sound cynical as a Gen Xer, but I don't know, old habits die hard, right?
Right.
Yep. Okay, so we ran around the store and we were looking for some things that were very Gen Xer, but one of the items I'm looking at right now has nothing to do with Gen X, but it does not surprise me she picked it out. So what do you have in your little stash over there, Zoe?
Well, I presume the thing you're referring to is my cat LED pen.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
It is, oh my God, I didn't even realize this. It is a black pen with a black cat head on it, and it actually has, I think the eyes light up when you take out the battery tab, which I'm going to have to do. I'll buy it. Because not only does it do that, it meows.
Oh, no.
How do I make it work?
I don't know if smushing its face is... Maybe you should read the directions.
Oh, we never do that. Never read directions.
No, we're Gen Xers. We don't need directions.
Okay.
Except Zoe. Obviously, Zoe clearly
can't make it work.
But
I'm sure it does work. So, its eyes light up, and at some point it has a meowing sound.
Yeah, you need to... Maybe when you write with it.
I don't know how to get the... Oh, here we go. Hang on. Let's all calm down. All right. Not actually working at this second, but I'm sure it will. Oh, let me try writing with it. Oh, it's writing fine.
No, nothing. Okay, maybe we need to grab another one. So unfortunately, we won't hear the meowing cat pin, which is truly a disappointment.
That's my first thing. My next thing, of course, I had to pick this up.
Which I don't know what this is. I'm looking at right now.
Okay, it's a bag that says Dalek British Invasion. It's a Doctor Who bag, and it has a Dalek on it. Anyone who's a Doctor Who fan will know that the Daleks were by far the scariest monsters on Doctor Who. I can remember being very scared.
Is that a monster that's on the bag?
Yeah, the Dalek. That is a Dalek.
That's an actual monster?
Yeah, that was a
Was it
monster.
that color or?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
It's just in the British.
They've put it in the British colours. But
I would not take you for a Doctor Who fan.
Well, I wasn't. I'm not now, but I was as a child. Everyone loved Doctor Who. And the Daleks were pretty scary back in the day.
My mother loves Doctor Who still.
Oh, yeah. Now.
Yeah.
But the Daleks were scary, and then there was, I can't remember, there was some others that were scary. But, yeah, that was the second thing I picked up. Then I picked up this retro cassette tape wallet, which is fabulous. It looks like a cassette tape, but it's actually a wallet, but it's also sparkly, and I'm like a fucking magpie. If I see something sparkly, I have to pick it up.
A magpie's a bird, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they steal sparkly things and
take
them
they?
to their nests.
Oh.
So, yeah. So this is just...
So is that something I need to get you for Christmas?
Oh, possibly. And it also has, it looks like the...
Oh, it has on the back, like, remember when you would record off the radio, you had to write down the song on side A, like you had like a little index card.
Wow.
And stuff. Yeah, but I'm sure that's just for the packaging.
Yeah, so
and then,
I don't know how you would use that.
And then the last thing, this has nothing to do with Gen Xer. This is just Zoe right here.
It's a drinks coaster, and it has this rather fetching lady from the 80s with I don't
know what fetching means. What does fetching mean?
Attractive.
Oh, okay.
With the nice 80s perm and big glasses, and she's holding a rose, and it says, "Sorry, I missed church. I was busy practicing witchcraft and becoming a lesbian."
Yeah, and so for those of you who don't know Zoe, that is pretty much Zoe to a T. And so, yeah, we had a little fun. We ran around before we actually went in and we started recording this because we just were looking at all the cool Gen X stuff. So I picked up a couple things myself that was indicative of the Gen X generation. So first of all is they have a lot of cool T-shirts here. And boom, Notorious B.I.G., and so we had just talked about how we were, our generation, not as a white person, I'm just saying we as a generation, we were responsible for initiating the movement into hip hop and grunge and other things. So I thought that was very interesting. And then, of course, I had to pick up something of my own, which is Tupac.
Oh, she loves her some Tupac.
I do. And why do I like Tupac?
Because of his chest.
Sexy back.
Sexy back. I knew it was the front or the back. I always get it.
It depends on what we're doing.
Yeah. Right.
So you can't think about Biggie if you don't think about Tupac, and unfortunately they're both kind of interchangeable. But again, Tupac is fine as hell and fantastic back. And then, of course, my favorite thing that I found here that is just as about much Gen X as you can do. And unfortunately, out of the 4 cast members, only one is still alive, which we love to death, Betty White. And there was just a hoax that was going around that Betty White died. And I'm like, please don't, know, whoever does that, that's not funny. Don't do that about Keith Richards or Betty White. Don't do that. Just let them keep living on forever until they're actually in a coffin. This is fantastic. And Zoe's going to have to take a picture of this for our social media. It is the Golden Girls, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. And this is actually a picture book. I'm not really sure what you would do with this. I don't know if you would read this to a kid, but it's their house. So I was raised in Florida. And did you guys watch Golden Girls over there?
Yes.
Did you?
Yes.
Okay.
I love the Golden Girls.
So, we were in Florida, so it was mandatory watching. Plus, my grandparents were the great generation, so it was literally their demographic on television, and they laughed at. And literally, like the kitchen, I'm showing Zoe as we're doing this, and she's like, "What?" And so something about they're going through a hurricane. It looks like they're straight out of the. I mean, that's her robe and everything. It looks like it's
great.
like straight. Oh yeah, like it's.
They've got the facial expressions down and everything.
Yeah, and then oh my God, even Dorothy's ex-husband. What the hell is his name? Stan.
I don't know.
Oh God, I can't remember. But anyway, and so I think this is something that you're supposed to read to little kids. I'm not really sure why little kids would care about the Golden Girls, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas.
But that's the thing, they don't, but you do. So you can have a giggle. They'll just think you're reading them another bedtime story, but you're actually laughing.
Or Auntie Mel,
drunkenly.
or Auntie Mel would actually read the book called Go the Fuck to Sleep. That's probably the book that Auntie Mel would read to them, but only when they're so young that they don't know that word and they can't repeat it. But then once they, can start repeating things, then
before you know it.
Yeah, and then Auntie Mel will take a break and not be around the kids for a couple years until they get a little older. But anyway, so this has been really super cool. It's nice to be out of the studio. Zoe is still trying like hell to get that cat pen to work so she can. There you go.
Listen, everyone. Look at those eyes.
Oh, God, the eyes are blue. So she's buying that.
It's coming home with me.
Yeah, she's like being hypnotized by the cat pen. So I don't know how all of a sudden she got it to work, but the last 5 minutes she spent on it, she couldn't make it work. So anyway, we had a great time being out of the studio today, and we appreciate you guys listening.
And thanks to ZIA for having us.
Absolutely, and we will talk at you soon.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. If you like us, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.